Let's resurrect Tsukasa's sister and integrate the Empire into the Kingdom of Science. Hey everyone, welcome to Princess Gay. I'm your host Connie, and today we are here with episodes 10 and 11, the finale of Dr. Stone Stone Wars. It's been an interesting journey because these Stone Wars have pretty much entirely been set up. The actual war itself took a surprisingly small amount of time, only like a couple episodes, which, actually kind of makes sense. A lot of war is all the setup and build up to it. All the armies getting into positions, taking over places, getting their weapons ready and everything. The actual battles don't always take too long. But, there's exceptions to that. Sometimes the actual battles can last a long time. It just depends on the war, depends on the armies, depends on how stubborn they are. You get the idea. But this war was never going to last. This war was always going to be short in the first place because of how reasonable both sides are. Because on one hand, we have the Kingdom of Science and Senku, whose entire goal was to take the cave, take back the power of the miracle elixir, and to not spill any blood, to not, kill anyone. And Tsukasa just wants to protect humanity. He never wanted to fight in the first place either. Hell, he likes Senku. He's made that very clear, from the get-go. The only reason that he killed him in the first place, and the reason he's been doing all of this, is purely because he genuinely believes it's better for humanity. He genuinely believes that all of these technological advancements have led to nothing but pain, and in a lot of cases, he's not wrong. And I kind of talked about this with Heavenly Delusion yesterday, too. Technological advancements have led to bad things. But they've also done a lot of good. They've also done a lot that, is necessary. Technology and science are exceptionally important to keeping people alive. Medical sciences alone are insanely important. Tsukasa's heart is in the right place. But he has such tunnel vision. He hates the older generation so much because of that one guy. That one guy, who ruined his chance to get those seashells for his sister. And I get it. I understand why he would hate that guy. That's fair. But he conflated that with, the obvious corruption that humanity has had. All the stuff like wars and horrible shit out there. And he just kind of generalized. The intent was good, but the execution, not as much. The execution left a little lacking. And it's been clear to me, pretty much since the beginning, that he would eventually turn a new leaf and become a good guy. Because again, he was never a bad guy to begin with. So, finding out that his sister, that she was kind of that she might be able to be resurrected and everything, and that's what turns him around, and that's what gets him to agree to, continue on. It just makes sense. Everything was always for her. Even becoming the biggest primate high schooler, whatever the fuck the exact title is, was all because of her. He wanted to grow stronger and become a fighter to earn money to pay for her surgery, to pay for her medical treatment. Whatever that he could get that for, he would do. And that's why he went on these talk shows and everything. And so Senku gives him hope that she can be brought back. He's jumping on it. Now, there's still the question of Hyuga. Because my thought was that Hyuga was going to be the main villain, but he's at least playing pretty passively right now. And mind you, he could still end up turning on them. But for now, at least, he's playing along. The last thing we really heard from him, though, the last thing we really, noticed him do outside of just being there in the background was fawning over the explosive, the nitroglycerin-powered paper airplane, and the destruction that it caused, which was obviously a very concerning moment. But nothing has come of it yet. Now, there's 2 more episodes here. He could absolutely turn on them, and have it might force Senku and Tsukasa to work together to take him down. Because this season has built him up. We've built him up as being even more dangerous than Tsukasa, because unlike Tsukasa, he doesn't have those limiters in him. He's not a good person, or at the very least not as good a person. He's more dangerous. And I think we're going to see that in these final 2 episodes. And I brought it up last time, but we also haven't seen the full conclusion of what Yuzuriha has been working towards. Because we saw that her secret mission was to put together a statue that was broken again, and the entire goal is to see if that will help be able to bring be able to bring the person back using the miracle fluid if they're pieced back together like this. The miracle fluid healing the cracks on their body and just creating the designs on them, essentially. And so if you combine those things that have not been fully resolved yet in this, I still think it's possible that Hyuga might end up turning on them by smashing the sister, her statue. And if he does this, that would be an obvious way to turn everyone against him. But then Yuzuriha could put her back together and they could bring her back, and that would be how this works, right? And that would, again, instantly win Tsukasa over to Senku, I feel. So it's a very reasonable theory. I don't know if that's what they're going to go for. It just seems like the only real thing that would really work at this point. Though I trust the writer for this, the original mangaka, that whatever the plan is going to be, it's going to work. So let's get into this episode and see what it's going to be. Well, these episodes, and close out this season. Hold up just a sec. Before you click that link down in the description below to get to today's video, I want to remind you of all the awesome content we have both on this channel and the Princess of Gaming channel. Let's check it out. And we are back, and we'll begin with spoilers in 3, 2, 1, now. And so there we have it. The Stone Wars are finished. Tsukasa is dead, quote-unquote. He's kind of cryogenically frozen for the time being. And the goal now is to be able to revive him by somehow figuring out the petrification. If we can figure out how that's done and we can repetrify him, we can then unpetrify him and everything will be good. So we got to meet Mirai, see that she's still 6 years old despite having been, like, asleep and comatose for, like, what was it, 6 years or so? So she'd be, like, physically about 12 or so, 12, 13. But she's mentally still 6 because of all the time she was spent in the hospital. She, was, again, comatose. And so we see, like, her personality is still very much like that. She's still very, childish and gets scared really easily, especially when her brother is concerned. But she's still staying strong and choosing to watch over him and everything. So that's good. Meanwhile, we have the fact that I was correct regarding Hyoga. Now, not everything went exactly how I thought. I thought that he was going to interfere with the revival of Mirai, but instead he waited to attack until after. Knowing that Tsukasa would jump in the way. His goal was Tsukasa the entire time. Unfortunately for him, Tsukasa and Senku were able to work together in just the right way to be able to take him down. Homura was let out by Yo, who made his sudden return. But both of them ended up being captured too. Well, Homura ended up being recaptured again. Yo just kind of assimilated back into things, and it's just like just taking advantage of the situation. Which, fair enough, I guess. But Homura and Hyoga are now being kept as prisoners, which makes sense. It makes sense that they wouldn't be, like, integrated in at this point. I was kind of wondering about that. Like, would they be integrated in? Would they end up, being reformed? But I'm kind of glad that they weren't. And now we got, like, better prisons as well to deal with them. The fight itself and how it was done, with Tsukasa obviously using his strength and Senku using his science, and even the shield thing with the battery, was so smart and just really well done. It was really well done. It showed Hyoga's threat level, but also showed how these other two working together just are unstoppable. So when Tsukasa does return, it's going to be a big deal. Now, with the plan being going overseas to learn all about the petrification, they're going to the other side of the world. I'm thinking Tsukasa's probably not going to be revived until late in the season for Season 3. And we know Season 3 is more akin to Season 1 in terms of length. It's like 20-something episodes. While Season 2 and 4, I believe, are the shorter ones. It like kind of goes back and forth. I talked about this in the past. But I also know that there's a special in between Seasons 2 and 3. So before we can get to the next season, there is a special, and I've heard that it's essential. I don't know how essential, but I have heard that you are supposed to watch it before you watch Season 3. I don't know why. I don't know, like, what the reasoning is, but I have heard that. So I'm curious to see what that ends up being. When we get to Season 3, we'll probably just kick that off with the special. And then we'll go into Season 3 the very next week. That's my plan for that. But yeah, so we're going to head to the other side of the world. So we have to build a boat and become pirates. I knew this was coming because I knew there was a season of this where it's like there's stuff with boats and traveling across the water. I don't know, like, I didn't know the context about why they had to do it, or like when exactly it happened. I knew it was like Season 3 or 4. And now I know it's Season 3. And I know that there's a new character who I think is probably the person we saw at the very end, in the statue. Because I know there's a new character that's introduced. Because that's the main reason I know about this is I've seen screenshots of this one character like being a sailing captain and everything. So it's like that's pretty much my knowledge of it. I don't know much in terms of the story or anything. I just know that there's a new character. He's shown being a sailing captain, and I know that like that's like kind of the big thing with that with at least this part of the arc. So I'm very curious to see how that ends up going. Um, I'm not gonna promise because I can't say exactly when we're gonna end up getting to that. But I hope to get to it a lot quicker. I don't want to wait too long just because of how much I love this show. But for sure, there is going to be some time between, just like with everything. And we'll get to that and what's going to replace Dr. Stone for the meantime in a minute here. I don't think there's anything else I'm forgetting to mention in regards to this. Oh, I do like the fact that Kohaku was relating to Tsukasa and how he's done everything for his sister, and that was like everything that drove him, and how she can relate to that because of her doing the same for Ruri. And it's even funnier because the first revived person she met before even Senku was Tsukasa. He was the first one she met. So it really clicks there. It's like that is an extremely intentional comparison. And I love that. I think that's just really cool. I wonder if when he gets revived, he and Kohaku might end up like bonding a bit. That could be pretty cool. They could be a really strong power couple. Because they're both strong, you know. I'm wondering though, if we're gonna travel on this boat across the sea, we're not taking everyone, right? Because between like the now integrated Tsukasa Empire, the Kingdom of Science has grown pretty large. And on top of the fact that we have to have someone stay back to watch Hyoga and Hotaru, because we can't leave them unattended. We also have to leave at least a few people behind to take care of and watch over Tsukasa's body. And we know his sister's not going to leave his side. So I assume only a certain group is going to be going. We're probably going to have Senku, the ship captain. I could honestly see Chrome staying behind, because they're going to need a science user there. But I think Taiju and Yuzuriha will probably go. Gen, I'm unsure about. I could see Gen going either way. Magma's probably going to stay because they're definitely going to need some muscle there. But I could see Kohaku going on the journey. Kinro and Ginro, I think, will be split up. I think one of them will stay behind, one of them will go on the journey, but it could be either way. I really don't know which way. Okay, God, I can't think of her name right now. The little girl, watermelon, Suika. She's staying behind, 100%. The kids are not coming. Ruri is going to stay behind. Yeah, I think it's going to be a smaller group than we're thinking. I think it's going to be split up, and I think only a smaller group is going to head on this journey. For a number of reasons. But it's going to be a very specifically selected group. And if next season, like, once we actually get sailing, focuses on just that group, that could be really interesting. But also could be interesting if we also have a B plot that focuses on the group back at Ishigami Village. Maybe we'll have like a combination of both of those at times. I'm very curious as to how this is going to go. Also, by the way, sailing takes time. So it's been, what, 2.5 years since Senku revived, he said? If they're going to the other side of the world, unless they figure out a way to make the boat go fast, like sailing just with the wind and everything is gonna take a long time. That's gonna be a very long journey. They might not be back for like another 2 years. So that's pretty insane, especially if the group is split up as much as it's probably going to be. I'm very curious as to how this is all going to go because there's a lot of logistics with this. I'm very curious and very excited. There's a lot of possibilities here, and going to a new land is pretty exciting. I'm interested to see how this ends up closing out. Well, not closing out because there's one more season after that, but how this ends up going. I am curious how it closes out too, but I'm curious as to how it ends up going in the next season and how that ends up closing out. Because I mean, we don't know who's going to be villains or whatnot. We don't know like what other kind of issues they're going to like face, just in general. Another thing they're going to have to take into account is like food. Because if they're going on a boat trip, they are going to need to bring a lot of food. They're probably going to want to bring some kind of like another kind of like freezer or a fridge or whatever to keep food cold. They're going to need to make multiple stops. Like they cannot just make the entire trip like to the other side of the world straight. They're going to have to make multiple stops along the way to restock on certain things. There is a lot of things to take into account with that. A lot. This is a really big trip. It's a really big deal. Building the boat alone is not enough. So I'm very curious as to how this next season is going to go. But we will handle that when we get to that. Let's actually get into what is going to replace this. And I'm not going to waste your time. It's Undead Unluck. Yeah. I want to finally finish the season of that out. And considering we've not got a lot of episodes left, I think we have like 6 episodes left. I think it's about time we finally get back to that and close it out. I really love Undead Unluck, and I really hate that I put it on hold again in the first place. I mean, I did so for, valid reasons and all, but I do really want to get back to it and see how it goes. See how it closes out. At least for the season, especially since we left with, big betrayals happening, crazy shit being set up, and we got this final arc of the season that's going to be pretty cool, I feel. So that's going to be taking over starting right away next Friday, joining along with Freerin that has already started this week. So yeah, I'm very interested to see how that closes out, especially with where we left off. And hopefully it ends up being like a really good finish to what was already a really good season. And I think season 2 is already confirmed for that too, right? I think I heard that. But I guess we'll see in the future. But obviously I'm going to react to more of that. Just like I'm going to react to more of Dr. Stone when we get to that point. Like I said, not going to promise any specific time frame. Because that's practically impossible with this channel. But I'm going to try to get back to it sooner than before. Maybe a couple of months from now. We'll see. We'll see. There's a lot of other stuff coming this year that I want to check out too. Dorohedoro is getting a second season that's supposed to be coming at some point this year. That's exciting as fuck. But other stuff coming too, and it's just a matter of like timing everything out and figuring out exactly when we're going to be able to get everything sorted. So we'll handle that as we do. But in the meantime, tell me in the comments below what you thought of these final 2 episodes of Dr. Stone, Stone Wars, Season 2. Let me know your thoughts, and before too long, we'll be heading to the New World. In the meantime, I'm Connie, and I'm signing off. See y'all next time.